共に参りましょう。闇を払うために。
Yo, what's up? Lad here. The most anticipated warrior since the release of the global version of COTC is finally here. Elrica. She is definitely the main character in the Master of All chapter, and I still have PTSD to what happened to her. But anyways, Elrica is a waifu of the Power faction hailing from the memoirs. Now before we get into the nitty gritty of it, just understand that all damage dealing characters will be eventually power crept in the future. This is more so for the JP players playing on the global side. You might think, I like this other warrior that's coming in the future, so I'll save my rupees, and that's perfectly fine. Elrica is still top 3 of warriors, still being used in the JP side. Anyways, with that out of the way, Elrica is capable of dealing 5 hits of sword and exploits both light and dark. With her gimmick, she's able to consume something called Tenacity, which is a stackable counter that comes with her kit. It's similar to someone like EX Tressa, where she has those trap counters. By consuming Tenacity points, she is able to recast her abilities at no SP cost. So with this, she can potentially hit 10 times at once. This is the first character in COTC who can hit 10 times with an ability. That makes her an absolute unit of a breaker and a nuker. But before we get to her skills, let's check out her VA. Yokoi Kasa is her VA. I only know Emmy from The Devil's a Part-Timer, and that anime was adorable. There was a new season that was released a while back. I wasn't really into that season though. Anyways, onto Elrica's notable damaging skills. Her first ability has a SP cost of 54, it's a 5-hit random target sword damage attack for potency 35, it exploits light and consumes 3 tenacity points and activates the skill again. When she's in a warrior stance, it also exploits dark as well too. Before we move further, Elrica has 2 stances in battle, Monarch and Warrior. You can think of Monarch as a more defensive play and Warrior more of an offensive play. Moving on to her second ability, it's an SP cost of 35, it's a 1-hit sword damage attack, potency 230, and recovers 1 BP. If she's in her Monarch stance, she gains 1 tenacity. If she's in her Warrior stance, she consumes 1 tenacity point and activates the skill again, no SP cost. Her third ability has an SP cost of 47, it's a 1-hit single target sword damage attack and exploits light with a potency of 290. Consumes 2 tenacity points and activates the skill again at no SP cost. In the Warrior stance, it exploits dark as well. Finally, her last attack. It's an SP cost of 34, it's a 1-hit single target sword damage attack, potency 170. In the Monarch stance, she can lower physical attack and elemental attack by 15% for 2 turns. And in Warrior stance, she can lower physical defense and elemental defense by 15% for 2 turns. For her ultimate, she has a 1-hit single target sword damage attack and exploits both light and dark, potency of 440 at level 1 and 525 at level 10. Using her ultimate in Monarch stance gives you a 5% at level 1 and 10% at level 10, physical and elemental attack up 2 turns for the front row, and using her ultimate in Warrior stance gives her 50% more potency. Now for her notable support skills, Royal Flame of Conviction, it's a 37 SP cost. If she uses this ability on her Monarch stance, she can raise crit and damage the front row by 10% for 2 turns, and in Warrior stance, she raises her own sword damage by 30%. Her second ability is the Royal Hopeful Prayers. Its SP cost of 41, she has the front row HP region for 2 turns, potency 110, and in Monarch stance, she can raise the max HP by 15% with front row by 2 turns, and in Warrior stance, she consumes 1 tenacity point for HP barrier, 50% of her max HP. Taking a look at her passive, Style Shift Warrior is her first one. In Warrior stance, she gets a 30% sword damage up and also a 50,000 damage limit increase. Her second passive, Royal Tenacity. In Monarch stance, she gains 1 tenacity when using a battle skill. Then she has 10% in light resistance and 20 in dark. Now taking a look at her stats, her physical attack is quite high at 429 and her HP is respectable at a 3232. Her speed isn't too impressive at 285, so chances are she'll be towards the end of the turn action in most fights. So the main question, should you pull? Honestly, if you're pulling for just the artwork alone, you're already a person of great faith. She is again the top 3 warriors in the game. She has access to recasting her abilities, and is able to damage dark weakness as well. Currently, I still don't have a traveler in mind when I'm up against enemies that are weak to dark. Ever since starting COTC, most elements or weakness that I come across, I get a general idea of who I should use and a particular traveler. But when it comes to dark, I'm still thinking about Heinz, as that was all who I had back then. Granted, there are so many travelers now, but having Elrica who can fill the role of breaking dark and light is just so nice to have. Again, having any character who can break 10 shields in one ability is very impressive. Her support ability that gives her damage up to the front row is also great to have, along with her regen ability that raises the front row's max HP by 15%. Now lastly, she can function as a debuffer as well with her one-hit single target sword attack. The biggest flaw in her kit is building up tenacity points. We all like to see big numbers right away, but with her, you'll start the battle in her Monarch stance to build up tenacity points. So let's put this in perspective. You're up against a solo boss and you're trying to break as many shields as possible. Using her 5-hit ability as an example, it's gonna take 3 turns in her monarch stance, as remember, in that form you get 1 tenacity point for using a battle skill, as that's her passive. From here, you can either use her 5-hit attack for 3 turns, giving you a total of 15 hits in those 3 turns and 3 tenacity points. Then on turn 4, her 5-hit attack becomes 10, giving you a total of 35 hits in 4 turns. Or you can use her other 1-hit ability, which gives you another tenacity point if you're in monarch form on top of her passive for 3 turns, giving you a total of 3 hits and 6 tenacity points for 3 turns. Then on the next 2 turns, you can use those tenacity points turn 4 for a total of 13 hits, and on turn 5, 23 hits. Another big flaw about her 5-hit ability is the fact that it's a random target attack, so if you're up against multiple enemies, Rondo might be the better character to bring. Now onto longevity, she's great. When comparing her to the other 2 widely used warriors in JP, she is in 3rd place. The other 2 warriors have a slight advantage with their abilities, but she is still very strong. This Wednesday, Elrica is coming home along with EX Alane. I've always liked Elrica ever since we met her, so that's a good reason to pull. Let's go ahead and finish up. Character design 5 out of 5. Her sprite and artwork are amazing. The reflection in the mirror with the castle in the back, and the warrior version of her and her reflection is simple, yet so captivating. Her artwork is the epitome of less is more, and of course she's a waifu too, so that counts. Her VA, Yoko Hikasa, 4 out of 5. As I listen to her voice lines, I can see her sounding more and more like Emmy from The Devil's a Part-Timer. Pretty cool. Longevity, again as said from the beginning, she is top 3 as a warrior even to JP to this day, so she'll be here for a while. Global buff? No. Would have been nice. Unlimited? Yes. She's a memory traveler. Overall impression, one of the best warriors in the game to pull for. Having access to damaging sword, light and dark can be game changing for many accounts. Anyways, let me know what you'll be pulling for her this Wednesday. Take care of yourself. Let out.